Well, here we are. The day has arrived for my team reveal. One day before the first round. I hope everyone's got their team sorted and just fixing up any of those last minute changes. I'm going to be revealing my team today. I'm going to have a couple of different options just with a few different guys as well. I possibly might want your help in the comments and see if we can make sure that we got the best team possible. But we're going to slowly reveal that. Did anyone see the Blowed FC named by Denner Kemp and Bloke in the Bar last night? That was very, very funny. Let's see if we can create a better team than that, but I completely doubt it. I'm going to start up top. So I wanted to have a player as sort of my centerpiece hooker this year, and I think he's going to be clearly the highest scoring hooker. At 63.9 average last year, I can see him averaging somewhere between 65 and 68, and I think he could be a fairly decent captaincy option at some stage, but at this stage he's going to be my vice captain in this squad. Next, we're going to move down to our mids, and I've gone a little bit lighter this year, just given the fact that there's a fair few players with some decent value. We can start from left to right, and we got Logie, who comes in at 390k and priced at an average of 32 last year. I can see him averaging somewhere between 40 and 45, especially through those first bunch of weeks without paying Haas. So with Lodge, I'm looking to get sort of hopefully toward as close as I can to that first buy. But even if we don't get that far, then we're hoping for sort of 10 to 15 points in an average increase, and which will get him those nice price rises. So Lodge is someone that I think fits perfectly into the squad at under 400k with a starting spot and close to about 50 minutes, which should net him an average of somewhere between 40 and 45 with a nice high PPM. Very similar with the other two guys on this list, and Christian Welch has been someone I've been pretty high on across the whole preseason. And I think with the latest news of Finucane being out, I see him as locking in sort of 50 to 60 minutes, and with a really high PPM and a high work rate with a faster game, I think Welsh is going to do really well. And for me, I want him to be averaging around 50, which gives him a 10-point increase on last year. So what we're looking for, guys, with all these players in my team is they're either an out-and-out gun, who I can keep for the entirety of the year, or there's someone that's going to be able to increase approximately 10 points or more across the season, or if they're only increasing slightly, then we're looking for them to become a keeper. And a Welsh, I think, is going to be a money maker and someone that we could possibly move on come the bye rounds or when the Origin schedule kicks off. So we should get close to half a season out of someone like Welch. Tino Farmasuli, that's all I'm going with. He is someone that's a little bit more expensive at 574k, owned by 38% of the team, so definitely not a pod compared to someone like Welsh at 4.5%. But he's someone that priced at 43, and I think he has the most upside out of these two. I think he's someone that could average somewhere between 50 and 60. I'm hoping for at least 50 with him, which puts him 7 points undervalued. But there's that chance that he has that higher ceiling and could push up into keeper status. And at worst, he has a bunch of really cool games at the start and with a try or so, and gets us a nice bunch of scores, gets us to kick off a great season, and then I can move him on come Origin time as well. So as you can see with these starters, I've got a fair few guys that are going to be playing Origin, and this is something to keep an eye on. This year's a little bit easier with only 2 bye rounds, but the question is going to be with the longer season back to the normal 26 rounds, then you'll see a few of these guys have a random rest. So as we see a little bit lower, I've got Crichton, Cleary, and Cook in the squad, and they're all going to be playing Origin along with Welsh and Farmasuli. So interesting there, but it's something we'll have to work out across the season. Just remember, it's a really long season, and we'll be, we're all people that like to trade, so that can happen at any stage. So we move down to our halves, and we got Lockie Lamb, priced in the mid 30s, and is someone that I'm expecting to average around the 45 mark, and I think that's enough for him to make a good amount of money in our sides. Someone similar to that is someone like Chad Townsend, who I had some interest in, but I think with him only being confirmed of scoring well in that first sort of 6 to 8 rounds, I've decided to stick with Lamb. His ownership at 13.7 is actually really low. I thought he'd be a lot higher. He's someone that I've sort of had in my team from the start, and I think he has the pedigree to score well. And he was talking about his move from 7 to 6, and he said that's not changing my game at all. All it is the number on our back, and Kiri's going to be our leader, with Lamb, playing the same role that he would have last year. So I see him averaging about 45. Decided to go with Cleary as our captain, given the fact that he is the highest scorer in the game. You look at McInnes and Haas are out, and then you go down to guys like Cook as your next best options there. So I've decided to go with Cleary. He has a nice first game in the Cowboys, so should be able to score well against them, and we're looking to keep him for the entire year if I decide to stick with someone like Cleary there. Not too much to say. He's your best scorer. He's your best half. So it's important to get the guys that are the best in their position, and then you can hopefully find some undervalued guys in some other positions. We'll move down one, and my center position is not my happiest position at the moment. I've got Opacek in there just because he's been my last picked in this side at 333. It's the only one that I could have fit. I can change a couple of things on my bench to get someone like a Roberts around that similar price, but I'm not sure if I'm looking for Opacek or Roberts at this stage. But as said previously, I'm not someone that wants to spend too much money in the centers when I think there's some more value elsewhere. Yeah, Opacek is someone that's fairly consistent, averaging in the mid-20s, and you see, the majority of games were in those 20s with the Cowboys, and then if he scored a try, it'd be 30 to 40. In an Eel side that's going to be better, and him growing as a player, having only played a bunch of years, I see some improvement possibly out of him, and same with Roberts. Roberts would probably have a higher ceiling, but I see Opacek as being a little bit more consistent. So we'll play with that one. Averillo, I think he's someone that can start, but if he doesn't start this week, I have some cover on the bench which I could bring in. But Averillo with the half and center dual position, I think, is really important for any one side at this stage. Having that center cover, especially, is going to be really important. So he's someone that has been highly touted by the Bulldogs management and coaching staff, and I think he's going to do well if he's going to get that 5'8" spot. And him being named there, even if he's in doubt for this week, holds him in really good stead to go well across the season. So that's my centres, and then the wing fullback. So someone I would have really wanted would have been Tedesco, and I just couldn't fit him in, so I had to pick RTS. Pappenhausen has been a mainstay in this squad. I think his slow start at the beginning of last year, and then his mid-50s average in the back end, I'm expecting him to score similarly to what he did in that back end. Given he's priced at 49, I'm expecting a 52 to 54 average, and the fact that he got given the goal kicking just makes him a little bit more safer in that position. RTS being priced at 47, and he only scored a few tries last year and assisted on not too many either, and looked great in the trials. His last year, I'm expecting him to at least average 50. So getting a keeper at a slight discount at 626, I think, is a fairly easy option for our sides, especially with the wing fullback position not being too many great options. I wanted to shore up those spots, and I'm probably going to be playing centre roulette as always, so I've wanted to shore up this wing fullback position, especially with the fact that we're not exactly sure what Laurie's role is going to be come round 2, with Mbai being moved into the 6th position. He could come in and play 1, and Laurie could be kicked out. He is a rookie, just think of that. Make sure that you know that if he has a few bad games, he can be moved on and given a breather with Mbai or Dewey or these kind of players coming into that 1 position. But he's named to start round 1, and you have to play him, I think, with the upside that he holds. He could hit you a 50 odd, and if you've got him sitting in the emergencies, I don't think that's going to be very good for your team at all. So when I look at my starting side, I see a decent amount of balance. We've got top line, the best hooker available. We've got the best half available. We've got the best edge available in Crichton. I've gone a little bit lighter in the mids, but I think Lodge has the potential to average 40. I think Welsh and Tino have a nice chance of averaging 50, which is still very close to keeper range. And this is a spot I can upgrade when the mid position becomes, let's say, easier to work out what minutes are going to be, who's going to be the top line guys. Maybe I can pick up a Taumalolo or a Payne Haas after a bunch of weeks. These are all things to think about. Move to the centres, and we got no guns there, but looking to upgrade around the mid part of the year. And then got a couple of guns in Pappenhausen and Czech, with eventually this position becoming a Tedesco. We move on to the interchange, and I wanted to make sure I had 4 really good scorers on in my interchange, and I've gone with Jacob Little. Looks like he's going to get 60 plus minutes and should score well. We got Brayley with no hooker on the bench, which is great. Again, looking to get sort of 70 plus minutes, I'd imagine. Watson could come on and spell him for 10 or so, 10 to 15 minutes, but we'll see how it goes with him being captain. You'd expect they'd want him on the field as much as possible. Connor Watson looking to get around 50 minutes in the middle and priced at extremely low 28 points. I'm expecting at least a 40 average in around the 50-ish minutes. And then Jake Turpin. So he's probably one of the more interesting picks in the side, and with no Corey Pakes on the bench, he is in the extended squad, so I'd follow that one closely just to see what happens if he ends up getting moved into the interchange. But with Turpin being priced at 40 with his 45 average, I think he has minimum 10 points in upside, and even closer to a 20-point upside if he can, with the speed of the game. If he's making a lot of tackles, you saw him kicking out a dummy half. I think he will be able to elevate his game with him being that sole hooker, with no McCulloch waiting in the wings and stuff like that. I think he can really take a grab of that spot and do really well for the Broncos. So they're my top four on the interchange, and should all be scoring around the 40 mark, with Turpin hopefully up around the 50 mark. And so I think that creates a very well-rounded squad at this stage. And then we move to the emergencies, and I'm looking here for a little bit more cover. So Tessie's going to cover the wing, fullback, and the centre. Not sure how well he's going to score, but you'd expect him to be somewhere closer to 30, so a little bit of money-making potential, but really just for the cover. And if the Broncos start to do well at some point in the year, he should start to score a lot better too. Got Alvaro, and I could move him down to like a Farmer Sully and bring in a James Roberts, for example. They're 3K difference on both of them. So, I'm pretty happy with somehow I've got zero salary remaining. Tessie News in there as cover. Alvaro, someone that I think will do slightly better than Farmer Sully if they're getting a similar amount of minutes. Alvaro has a 1.02 ppm and will need at least 30 minutes to do well to make some money. So anything above that is going to be gravy, and I think that if he averages somewhere between 33 and 35, then he's done his job as a middle forward cash cow. I got Stefano Otukamanu. I hope I said that right. At 246. So I wanted someone nice and low that has the chance to score well, and given he's going to be priced at 18, only has to get 25 to 30 minutes to score pretty well with a close to 1 ppm. And he's someone that's been touted as a young up-and-coming middle forward and should do well enough to be a slow burn cash cow, I'm feeling. And then you've got Lockie Croker. So I've had him and Spencer Leniu. They're both at the same price. I've been interchanging between them, and both I think will do well enough. Croker, it looks like with no Cade Cuss, should get 60 minutes plus, and with a fairly low ppm, obviously that's with him spending time at the half position as well. I'd expect within 60 minutes for him to be averaging in the 30s and a pretty easy 10 points made and 150k. And he can also spell the half position and the hooker. So he's dual position there and can help us out. Obviously, I don't need any more hookers in my squad, with my first four being hooker. My main issue currently on this bench is having an edge backup. So I've thought about this a little bit, and if I'm getting an injury to one of these guys in a Ricky or a Crichton, I think I can straight swap. So a Crichton I could straight swap easily, and then Ricky, you've got guys like Fulmayano, Gosefsky, Andrew Davey, these kind of guys that if they happen to get a decent spot, you can bring them in. If not, I can make a couple of trades to do that. But that's my only issue with the side at the moment. Let me know what you guys think in regards to this squad currently. I just wanted to go through a couple more options which I think will be helpful. Some omissions that I really wanted to have on my side was someone like Alex Twal, and I just didn't know where to fit the money in. Andrew McCulloch is someone I've been really interested in, and I'm just going to move on Cook, for example, and bring in McCulloch and see what we can do there at 54. So that frees up a little bit more cash for me. What I could do is bring someone like Brian Kelly into the mix. Is that right? Do I have enough? 465. Yeah, I think it's just right. Yeah, 464. So I could do a McCulloch for a Kelly if we're not too sure on an oppa check there. what does that help me with? I think McCulloch will average close to 60, so I might lose around 5 to 6 points with Cook. I get someone that's not going to be playing Origin, which is helpful. And then I get a centre in Kelly that could move, could very quickly move up into a gun status in the centres. So that was an interesting one for me, and something that I wasn't sure about as to who I'd bring in. Obviously, I could change Croker for Leniu. I've got Alvaro for Farmasuli. You got guys like Remus Smith, but I don't think he just doesn't score well enough, even with tries. So that's that option. There's the option of not playing Cleary at all. And I had someone like a Fogarty or a Munster. We can take our pick there. And then spending up a little bit more elsewhere, I had Ricky moving out for Alvaro. So I can put Ricky on the bench, and I had a little try with someone like Fafita. Where is he? Dave Fafita. Cool. And then you move a Ricky onto the bench. So, just short. What was I? 238. I changed someone else. Kelly. So Kelly wasn't able to be used. And I had someone like Opacek again. And then we put a Ricky on the bench. So this is kind of how I've been playing with the team at the moment. There you go. So that leaves me 25k, and I could pick someone a little bit better than Opacek, for example. Let's have a look and see what we can do. Just want to show you how I muck around with my team, guys. This has been, spend the last sort of few hours last night and then going through the rest of it today. But just trying to work out who to bring in. And you got like guys like Fido, Herbert, Roberts, Opacek, Dylan Walker as options. And I'm not really high on any of them. I just see Opacek and Roberts as probably the best options there and have the chance to maybe be about 10 points undervalued. But what happens with this team is I'm obviously fairly... Let's bring Roberts, for example. I have a few more guns. I got McCulloch, Fafita, and Crichton. I have Fogarty. I have RTS and Pappenhausen. So that leaves us 6 guns. But my issue with this team is, yes, I got the cover now in the edge position, but I can't play one of these guys. And who would you leave out in this position? Would you leave out Little, Brayley, Watson? You're obviously not going to leave Turpin, and you really don't want to leave out Ricky. If he's going to be playing 60 plus minutes, I think there's a chance he averages somewhere between 40 and 50, and with a chance of scoring some tries. So yes, Fafita helps me, but I lose the best player in the game in Cleary. I then have to think of, do I captain a Crichton or a McCulloch? There's a bunch of questions that come in, and I'm not sure that this is the best team for me or not. Yeah, this is just how I go through my team, guys. But let me know what you think on this one as well. I'll leave that there, and you can have a little think as to what it is. I've kind of done the numbers on what I think each of these guys would average, and this team comes up pretty similar to what I decided with the other, and that obviously means you've got to have guys like Fogarty and Fafita improve on what they did last year, and same with McCulloch. Whereas I know what I'm going to get with guys like Cook and Cleary. So very interesting thoughts for me anyway. And yeah, as I said, the biggest issue with this team, I'd probably go with it if I just had 4 big scorers on the bench, and leaving Ricky out is really going to do my head in, I think. If he sits there and gets a 50 or gets a 60 with a try in the first game, and he's sitting there not playing, or if I leave out a Brayley or a Watson, they come out and get 40 or 50. Little, same thing. It's going to be really annoying. So I think the other team has a better balance of just getting those 4 guys, and then I've got the other guys to make money and cover the positions. If I happen to get an injury in the edge, I just have to deal with it. But there you go, guys. That's my team reveal. Let me know what you think on both of those teams or any of those changes. If you think the team's mud, let me know. But I hope you took a lot out of that, and just wanted to finish it off with saying that just making sure, guys, this is my opinion only. I've never won fantasy before. I've done really well. I've come first in the Cowboys and come 50th overall, always in the top 1,000. But things like injuries, things like what the coach does with minutes and stuff, I can't decide on, or I'm not the boss of. So just be aware of that, and please make sure you're trying not to just copy my team. This is here for educational purposes, and I hope that this helps, guys. But anyway, we'll see you in the next one. We're going to do a people squad update and make sure that team's sorted for tomorrow night. But Good luck with your teams, guys, and we'll see you each week through the season to update how this team's going. See you soon.